What's good, Potato Spindly here, and I want to go ahead and talk about open world games because I'm slowly dying on the inside. I really haven't done anything the last couple of days. I just haven't had the fucking energy to get up off my ass and stop farming a shiny pseudo wudo and watching Criminal Minds long enough to actually provide any content. I've been working on the download. I've been working on a little compilation of the sports videos I did with Devon and Ricky. But that's slow going because I can only watch so many hours of football before I just start dying. Physically, not mentally. Like, I waste away. It's fucking horrible. But no, recently I've been playing a lot of open world games. Days Gone, Pokemon Sword, a few others. Thinking about hopping back into Fallout, maybe hopping back into Skyrim, the good old shit. Now, I really want to talk about what I expect from an open world game because it's really hit or miss for me. And I always find myself wondering exactly why I get bored of some games and I don't get bored of others. And I think what it has to do with is the travel time. Now, if you look at a game like Days Gone, I love most of it. I love the stealth, I love the combat, I love the crafting. It's all very simplistic. It's slightly intuitive. The controls are a little bit of a pain in the ass, they take some getting used to. But the rest of the game, it's fun, it's flushed out, it's vibrant, it's colorful, as colorful as multiple layers of grays and blues can be. But it is there, and it is competent. The thing that really weighed me down with Days Gone is the travel time. The bike, specifically. It was a real pain in the ass. Like, there's no two ways about it. There's plenty of better things they could have done with the bike. And what they did was they really initiated some soft borders with the limitations on the bike in the early game. So as you progress, you slowly build up fuel capacity and, bike health, how much damage you can actually take. And the way that they organize that is so the further you get from point A to point B, the longer the travel time, the more of a pain in the ass it's going to be in the early game. Whereas late game, you can probably just do laps around the map and not even think about it. But you'd also get these random encounters that would really fuck you over if they happen back to back to back to back to back. A lot of the time, I was on a really slow-going road trip. I would go slow to try to preserve health, to try to preserve fuel. Instead of jumping off that cliff to save maybe a minute or two, I would just go all the way around the bend, Like, what the fuck ever. But it led to me driving around for 15 minutes, getting tired of looking after my bike, until I was able to finally shoot a guy in the head. I mean, it's not hard. Just let me ride the bike. If the bike breaks, let me hop on another one. Let me build that one up. Put some soft caps on bikes in the world. Let me hop between them and come back to the one that's supposed to be the main focus. Let me have an alternate form of transportation so I'm not just walking around on foot. If that's going to be the case, walking around on foot is way better than just using the bike, even though it's a little bit more dangerous. Well, a lot more dangerous. But no, that was a real pain in the ass thing, is dealing with the bike, having to babysit it, like fucking bottle feed that son of a bitch every time I turned around. It was like dragging a giant ass weight whenever I really just wanted to hop between some story missions, between me walking around the world picking flowers, shooting random animals, and, talking to my buddy. And I had a lot of the same issues with The Witcher 3 and Horizon Zero Dawn. I brought them up in my additions. 4 Days Gone for a good reason. I also had issues with the travel time in those. There was plenty to do. The combat was fun, maybe not so much in Witcher 3. It took a little bit more thought than I was willing to really put into it. But no, all in all, it was a fun game. Begin from point A to point B, whether I was riding a horse or walking there or fast traveling. It was tedious. It was annoying. It was fucking annoying. I would spend most of the time walking around picking flowers. By the time my inventory got full, I'd go, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and stop in at this town. Then I fast travel out of town. I'd fast travel to the nearest point that I discovered, and I'd go, well, shit. That's another 5 minutes on top of the walk that I took a fucking 15-minute break from. It's not great. On Horizon Zero Dawn, you didn't have many mount options, and even when you did, you had to focus to actually get the shit taken care of. Most of the time, I was going up and down the same tracks, finding the same fucking enemies. It was fun. It took enough strategy to keep it interesting. But at the same time, there's only so many times I can walk past the bandit camp and only give a shit, Fallout 4, though, Fallout 4 is ideal for me. It looks like a big map, but it's actually really condensed. I don't have to worry about soft borders. I don't have to worry about anything because I got 2 fucking feet. I can get from point to point B in like half an hour. One end of the map to the other. I could be walking through fucking Boston and go, what's over here? Let's go ahead and check this out for a bit. It's not an issue there. I like that. There's always something to do. And the random events that pop up, they're not really just to fuck you. They're a lot more versatile. And the soft borders are actually designated by enemies. If you know where to go, the border's not an issue. Whereas in Days Gone, every enemy in the game you have access to. You can beat it from day one. There's no issue. You can handle swarms, you can handle bears, you can handle rager bears. All you need is enough fucking ammo and a big enough gun. And that's not hard to come by. The biggest issue would be having the bike. When the issue of an open world game is the travel and the amount to do while you're traveling in order to actually keep things interesting, what's the point in having such a big map? There's plenty you can cut out instead of just empty space. That's the thing that really starts cutting me up with these games, because in some games, every mechanic is good, but the map is too big to justify it. And in other games, the map is perfectly sized and there's so much to do that you feel overwhelmed. It's never-ending struggle. Now, the issue doesn't really make these bad games. They're all excellent games. They're all fucking fantastic. This is just a personal preference of mine. You know? Give me something to do. Pleasantly surprise me when I'm, walking to get soda. Soda's over there. I want to take 2 steps and all of a sudden have a nuclear bear fall out of the sky with fucking rocket pods on its back. I want that shit to come out of nowhere. It's all about risk, reward, surprise. If there's a whole lot of nothing going on in between that, what's the fucking point? Just shave the miles off, man. Just shave it off. Anthem, as crappy of a game as it was, had a fucking fantastic open world. I loved it to death. Movement was fun. Period. There's plenty to do on the maps. It was mostly repetitive work, but guess what? I didn't have a complaint about flying over a large space. I didn't have a complaint about flying with nothing to do, because the movement in and of itself, the way you traveled, was fun enough. And once you finally saw that point or something caught your eye, you were there. That's the difference. It really is. I did play Anthem more than I played Days Gone. As crappy of a game as it is. And as good of a game as Days Gone is. That's really all the difference. That's really fucking hard to say. Every game has its merits and its negative points. And whenever the negative point of the game is the majority of the time that you're going to invest into it, that's where I have an issue. That's why I don't take an interest in certain games anymore. That's why I get really iffy about it. I don't mind repetitive actions. I don't mind being faced with challenges. But when the way to reach those challenges becomes a brick fucking wall that you have to bash your head against, I'm not talking about it in Dark Souls mentality. Dark Souls mentality is fine because it's all close enough and you can practice hard enough and overcome it. But whenever it's something you don't need to practice at, it's just the way it is, that's why I tend to take issue. Finding out a lot about myself. And that's really another thing. You don't want to limit options to travel whenever there are damage mechanics in a game. GTA 5? I don't fucking like it. I don't really like any GTA titles, and that's an unpopular opinion. But at least traveling is fun. You have plenty of options. You get tired of that fucking sedan, hop on a motorcycle. You get tired of the motorcycle, hop in a semi. You get tired of the semi, hop on a fucking tank. Instead of driving to your buddy's house the next block over, fucking hop in a cargo bob, pick the fucking house up. Granted, not every game can be that versatile. But still, whenever it comes to hop on a mount or walk, most of the time I'd rather walk because at least there's more to do. And if I have to walk for twice the length I would have rode, unless it's going to happen, what am I really doing here? I'm playing a walking simulator. Congratulations. You made a walking simulator with RPG elements. It's great. $70 well spent. So what makes a good open world game in my eyes? Risk, reward, surprise. You always want to have a little present or two, whether it's a good one or a bad one. If I open a box, I don't care if my head gets blown off or if there's fucking gummy bears inside. At least have the box there. Fourthly, or fifthly, something like that. Have an either fun or efficient way to travel, to cut costs, to cut time, to keep the player invested, because that's what it comes down to. Most of these games are going to be walking over a vast space. Whether it's prototype or fucking, what's it called? I'm spacing on it. Infamous. Whether it's Prototype, Infamous, Far Cry, Fallout, Witcher, it doesn't matter how big the world is. It doesn't matter how much there really is to do. Keep the player busy. That's what it boils down to. That's what they're going to remember. Shit, why do you think people are still playing Skyrim? So much shit happens when you're on the road that's unbelievable. That's why the game has such a fucking following. Anyway, worst open world games you love, worst open world games you hate, post in the comments down below, like, comment, subscribe, keep on, keep it on. Hopefully next time around I'll actually have a point to making a video, but I highly doubt it.